excess sugar, something many people have heard of and have been warned about. But what exactly is excess sugar? Nutrition labels today list a lot of substances within a certain food or drink, but when somebody mentions sugar, what is it that they are actually talking about? Sugars are classified as a carbohydrate, but nutrition labels mention both sugars and carbohydrates, and even added sugars. But what is important? Technically, all carbohydrates can form triglycerides, or fat, if there are too many carbohydrates within the bloodstream that the body cannot possibly use for energy. But only some carbohydrates are very susceptible to fat formation, while others are not. For example, glucose. Glucose is a commonly consumed sugar by many people, but glucose is not the problem, according to Varnum T. Samuel and the article he wrote called Fructose-Induced Lipogenesis from Sugar to Fat to Insulin Resistance. Within this article, Varnum states that glucose is more commonly used by the cells to either produce ATP or glycogen, another energy-storing polymer. Also, the uptake of glucose into the cells is highly regulated by the body, but there is a sugar that is hardly regulated and can be very unhealthy when consumed in large amounts. Fructose is that sugar. Unlike glucose, fructose is unregulated by the cell's energy needs and is completely broken down. Once through fructolysis, or fructose breakdown, the sugar molecules enter the mitochondria, and instead of producing ATP or energy, they are committed to producing triglycerides or fat. Now that we have gone through and found the true source of unhealthy sugars, we can determine what foods could be a high source of such sugars. High fructose corn syrup is a major source of fructose and is in many foods and drinks. Read any nutrition label, and under the ingredients section, I am sure high fructose corn syrup is mentioned. While most food and drink include high fructose corn syrup, there are several that contain unhealthy amounts. For example, pop. According to a Healthline article, pop is the largest source of added sugar in the American diet, contributing over 50 grams of sugar per serving. 13 tablespoons above the healthy limit. Just think of what your body can do with all that sugar. Hint, it is not for immediate energy. The next largest source are candies. Candy and candy bars are literally made of sugar, and the first ingredient listed is usually high fructose corn syrup. Now, the third largest contributor of sugar to the American diet is sweetened yogurt. While advertised as a healthy snack, it is a sugar bomb containing upwards of 40 grams of sugar. Now, knowing what exactly is the problem within foods and drinks with lots of excess sugar, what exactly is harmful with a little fat? While a little fat doesn't sound too bad to most people unless being a professional bodybuilder, since it stores more energy than carbohydrates, it can actually lead to other more serious issues. While it is a well-known fact that eating too many sugary foods can cause obesity, obesity can cause a series of health issues itself. According to the U.S. Department of Health, obesity can cause a whole list of health problems. These can include type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or even strokes or heart disease. These are only a few on the list. Here is where the issue comes in. While most of these can be fixed with simple medications, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States, killing over 600,000 people per year, according to the CDC. Not only does obesity come with a lot of physical complications like heart disease, but also with a lot of mental disorders. According to tests and surveys done by Dr. Gregory Simon, obesity can be associated with an increased risk of major depression and bipolar disorder. Not only that, but also lots of anxiety disorders. While this would relatively not be such a large issue if it only affected 1% of the population, but obesity affects 39.8% of Americans, which makes it a bigger problem. That means 39.8% of America is at an increased risk for heart disease and a multitude of mental disorders. Now, stating facts and statistics can be beneficial up to a point. Solutions to issues are even more valuable. Now, the easy answer would be to cut down on excess sugars, but sometimes the pizza and pop or candy is undeniable. But this can't be the only option for people with limited self-control. Not only does it take self-control, but also being a poor college student, healthier foods are more expensive than unhealthy foods. The only problem with the prices of food is that is something just an ordinary person cannot change. The blame looks like it could be put on many things, but at the end of it all, government intervention is the root issue. According to Jeffrey Tucker in his article Why Unhealthy Food is Cheap and Plentiful, the reason corn syrup is in almost every food we eat is because the government keeps out imported sugars, which cost half as much as our sugars, so farmers are incentivized to find another source. Corn, they found, was a great source of sugar, but an extremely unhealthy one. Without the government's interference on the market, the cost of healthy foods would be much less. Now, this cannot be the only fix to obesity or even the prevention of in one person's life. At large, it would be a start, but for an individual looking to prevent the onset of obesity, one way is to reduce the amount of sugars in the bloodstream. A great way to do this is to use it as energy. An easy way to do this is daily exercise. Not only will exercise consume more sugars from the bloodstream, but also prevent heart disease simultaneously. According to the CDC, 150 minutes of moderate activity and 2 days of strength training are recommended for an adult. This will not only consume sugars in the bloodstream, but also increase metabolism by increasing muscle mass. In the end, just using one of these techniques would only be slightly beneficial. Exercising with a better diet would be a much better solution and would lead to a healthier and happier life. So maybe give up sugary foods this year for New Year's, or maybe wake up just a tad earlier to get a little exercise in before the day starts. Get out there, eat healthy, and be active, and watch as your life transforms.